Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are about to get started. I'm just taking a few moments to let everyone get joined in as we hit 1 o'clock Eastern. And it's great to hear where people are coming from today. I see we've got our presenter today. He's joining us from Vancouver, Canada. We've got South Carolina, Wisconsin, a couple people out in Pennsylvania. So awesome to see people from all over the place joining today. We're excited to talk about AP workflows and crisis proof today. So let me go ahead and dive in. I'd be remiss if I did not introduce myself. My name is Courtney Pollock, and I am the Customer Marketing Coordinator for SWK Technologies. And I'd like to welcome you to our webinar, From Chaos to Control, 7 Steps for Building a Crisis-Proof AP Workflow, presented by our partners at Quadient. So before we get started, I want to go over just a couple of housekeeping items. Nothing too long, but I want to let you know that this session is being recorded today. We're going to send out the recording to everyone who was able to join us today and those who registered but were not able to attend tomorrow afternoon. So don't worry, keep an eye out. We'll send it out to you tomorrow, that recording. And as you can always find our webinar recordings and other helpful tips and tricks, how-to videos, things like that on our YouTube channel. So another great place to find video content. Everyone has also been placed on mute, but as you can see, we highly encourage you to participate in the chat. There's also a Q&A section, so you can put questions in at any time throughout the presentation. We are going to hold those questions until the end of the presentation, but then we'd love to hear your questions, answer them live while we have a lot of expertise with us. And then if there's a question that we're not able to answer live, maybe it requires a more in-depth conversation, we're happy to reach out after. So you can get those questions in at any time. I'll get them queued up, and then we will do them during the Q&A session at the end. I think that is all of the items we have today for my kind of housekeeping. But with that said, we're thrilled that you've taken some time out of your busy day to be with us on this session. SWK is always here to help you fulfill your vision of a smarter and easier way to run your business by providing you with tools, support, software, tips and tricks, and industry knowledge whenever you need it. So whether you're here to explore a new solution or you're just here to learn, don't hesitate to ask those questions, and also check us out on our other social media digital channels. We're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter/X, all the places, and you can find more content like this. So that is enough for me. I want to hand it over to Cameron, our presenter today, for the main event. So let me bring Cameron on stage to introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. Like was mentioned, I'm from Vancouver, Canada. So sorry if my Canadian accent pops out throughout this presentation, but I work with Quadient Accounts Payable Automation, and I'm an account executive over here. I work with finance teams to help optimize their accounts payable processes and see those results every day. And I'm so excited to be here today with SWK Technologies to speak to you about accounts payable workflows and how we can make it easier and better for you guys. So let me start by saying what's probably obvious to you. Our profession is at a tipping point. So the 2024 Finance and Accounting Talent Market Outlook reports that 83% of senior leaders admit to an accounting talent shortage, which is already up from an already abysmal 70% in 2022. That's due in large part to the facts that an astounding 75% of CPAs reached retirement age in 2020. And that was 4 years ago. But I don't have to do the math for all you numbers crunchers. I'm just a lowly salesperson. You guys are the ones looking at numbers every single day. My second stat here is enrollment in accounting programs has declined, with 33% fewer first-time candidates sitting in for the CPA exam in 2021 than in 2016. As the CFO website points out, that means existing staff are experiencing increased burnout and decreased job satisfaction as they shoulder heavier workloads and longer hours. And frankly, that's just not healthy. And this is where we can throw our first poll at you. So I did just throw a couple stats at you on the previous slide. So our poll here is whether you're already aware of them or not, or or will they have significant impact on your business operations? So tell me, how surprised were you by what I just told you? Either A, very surprised, B, somewhat surprised, C, not surprised at all. And I'll just give a second here for these results to come in.
Yeah, Cameron. And so that's poll just launched. So I've seen a couple people vote so far, and you should be able to see the results afterwards, but we'll add it to the stage because I'm sure everyone's curious to know, at least, I am on a poll to know where everyone else is at. So right now we're split between two categories. I know we've got a few more people left to vote, so we'll leave that up for just another second or so. Um, yeah, looks like it's an even split. I'm surprised it's not across all three. So let's go ahead and pop that on the stage. You can keep voting. I think we're starting to see a winner here. So it looks like most people are in the somewhat category, which that is about where I was at when I heard these stats from Cameron and the team at Quadient. So, and a few of you not at all. So you are ahead of the game. You're already in the know.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to know that there's some note out there for sure. That being said, we definitely want to make sure that we can educate you with things just like this slideshow today. So with that, we can continue on. So a lack of automation is preventing you from creating a healthy AP workflow, which really makes it a threat to your ability to support the business. Because unhappy employees who have options are going to find something better, something more to their liking. And we already established that we are in the midst of a massive accounting resource shortage. So let's roll up our sleeves and look at the tasks and realities that need to be addressed before we can make AP healthy. Physical invoices, receipts, and purchase orders literally run the business and have to go somewhere. It makes sense that it's at the office. And you can bet for sure that someone will be required to present, to cut, and deposit paper-based checks. And approvals are complex, even when the approvers are down the hall. But different time zones and work hours mean further complications and more protracted timelines. And finally, visibility into financial information across a decentralized workforce requires technology, and there's no way around that. Now let's align those tasks with the actual accounts payable workflow. Your AP workflow starts with creating a PO, the formal request to supplier for goods or services, then goes to delivery of goods and services, and accumulates in transaction reviews and audit support. That's certainly a lot on the face of it, but I didn't even call out all the individual milestones, including business critical three-way matching. That's where you verify the PO, delivery receipt, and invoice to ensure they all correspond and that you're only paying for what you received. Each milestone within the end-to-end workflow represents your own set of challenges, plus an opportunity for optimization and best practices. But you'll need to fully understand your way of working before you can improve, change, or automate it. Now, let's dig in to deconstruct your process to create a pathway to end-to-end automation that supports our ultimate goal of remote work. Let's start at the very beginning, creating purchase orders. Now, this is crucial as a well-educated or well-executed high-quality purchase order sets the tone for the entire AP process. It's your formal commitment to a supplier, and it lays down the terms right from the get-go. Now, where do companies typically stumble with PO creation? I'll give you one word, details, or maybe the lack therefore of. Whether it's an incorrect item description, omitted tax info, or vague terms and conditions, these minor errors can snowball further down the line. So here are your basic requirements, which are what you must do. As a minimum, ensure your POs are complete, accurate, and approved by the relevant authority within your organization. And this is a non-negotiable. And here's how you take it to the next level. To go the extra mile, consider things like setting up automated approval workflows and integrating your PO system with your inventory and accounting software. And trust me, it's a game changer. We'll keep coming back to the benefits of automation, as automation addresses key challenges like speed, accuracy, and risk. But understand this, by automating, you're not only making the process faster, excuse me, You're not only making the process faster, you're also minimizing the chance of human error. Plus, automation makes it easier to adapt to changing supplier terms, seasonal demands, and even global disruptions, things we're all familiar with. A best practice here is to centralize and track all your purchase related paperwork because the last thing you want is to have to sift through a mountain of emails to find that one critical document. All other advanced approach is to perform gap analysis of your purchase orders. You can evaluate the quality of your POs, the current versus desired state, factoring in accuracy and completeness, consistency with a supplier's quotation, and compliance with relevant laws. This will help prioritize the actions needed to close those gaps. Whether you're nailing the basics or aiming for advanced, remember that a solid PO process is your foundation for a smooth AP workflow. A high quality purchase order helps avoid misunderstandings, disputes, delays, and penalties with your suppliers. All right, time for the next topic here, and that is what happens or should happen when goods and there's no sound. Can someone confirm that you can hear me okay?
Hey Cameron, I've got sound for you, so that may be a singular issue. I'll work on resolving it in the chat. But if anyone else can't hear sound, please let us know in the chat. If not, the person without sound, we will work on that. Okay, I think you're good to go. You can keep on rolling, Cameron.
Okay, sounds good. So, back to that next topic here, right? So, when those goods and services are delivered, along with those receipts and invoices, think of this stage as a midterm exam where all your prep and the PO stage meets reality. Common hiccups here are include order discrepancies and documentation errors. These are like trick questions in an exam and can seriously interrupt your workflow. Your basics here are you need to ensure that the items or services received align with your original PO and delivery receipt. Matching is key to smooth sailing later in the workflow. And now for our advanced talk. So go to the top of the class if you are already implementing real-time tracking and reconciliation systems. Good for you, félicitations. These give you metrics on supplier performance and help to identify potential bottlenecks in your process. Advanced analytics tools can help you monitor lead times and supplier reliability and take proactive preventative measures where specific issues are flagged. As with PO creation, automation eliminates manual errors and streamlines verification. So you can instantly reconcile received goods against your PO and keep records up to date 24/7, making your operation more efficient. Automation increases your vigilance and attention to detail, setting you up for success in the later stages of the AP workflow. All right, and now we have a date with data here. Yes. So, manual data entry is the old school equivalent of chalk and slate boards, prone to errors, time consuming, and to be frank, a little bit dusty and dull. Luckily, a bunch of technologies are eliminating manual data entry for AP paperwork like purchase orders and invoices. So, the basics are there. As a minimum, you should be scanning your invoices and storing them digitally. This is a foundational step, but one that sets you up for more advanced improvements down the line. And incorporating OCR or optical character recognition transforms this AP stage. Because after you quickly and effortlessly capture data, you can interact with it, edit it, and integrate it into other systems. And now, time for the advanced. If you are aiming higher, automated systems offer advanced features like real time analytics and fraud detection. These capabilities enable more efficient, secure operations and richer insights into your AP processes. The advantages are reduced human error, enhanced security, and significant time savings. By automating, you're also setting yourself up for long term gains that go beyond mere data entry, like future proofing the finance function and helping the business to stay competitive and operate efficiently. Now, before we go any further, we need to have a quick word about three-way matching because it is an indicator of the overall health and accuracy of your accounts payable workflow because it creates a strong verification link at the heart of your process. Matching compares the three elements of PO, delivery receipt, and invoice. In other words, it validates that you received what you ordered at the agreed upon terms before you make the payment. And it's essential for maintaining the financial integrity and security of your organization. Yet the process isn't always a picnic. Challenges often arise from data inconsistencies, delays, and a lack of real time visibility into the matching process. Again, manual methods often fall short. And that's where three-way matching strikes a balance between simplicity and diligence, while two-way matching is easier. It lacks a comprehensive verification process and introduces risk. Four-way matching, on the other hand, includes tolerances, but these can be time intensive and are not always necessary. Implementing a solid three-way matching system can positively impact your bottom line, preventing overpayments or duplicate payments. It fosters trust with vendors and simplifies the auditing process. At its core, three-way matching requires meticulous record keeping. So, for the basics, ensure that your POs, delivery receipts, and invoices are stored in a secure, searchable manner. Tolerances are, by the way, a true predefined range of discrepancies. For example, the received quantity of goods might differ slightly from the quantity mentioned in the purchase order, or the invoice amount might vary due to unexpected shipping costs or taxes. If variations stay within certain limits, the invoice can still be approved without requiring manual intervention. While four-way matching adds an extra layer, it can also make the process more complex and time-consuming. And for the advanced, you saw it coming. If you are looking to further optimize your three-way matching, consider only automated solutions that include this capability. Some software platforms offer it in addition to real-time visibility, instant error detection, and seamless integration with other systems, such as your ERP solution. When it comes to the payment approval stage of AP workflow, the saying trust but verify is your guiding principle. With as much as 20% of your time, the accounts payable cycle can go into managing approvals, implementing checks and balances is critical for fraud protection and overall cost control. And legacy approval processes simply will not fly if you're embracing remote work. For the basics, you must set up a multi-tiered approval process for different payment thresholds. Keep a record of every payment and approval within your accounting software and implement two-factor authentication whenever possible. You should use digital signatures, especially for remote approval processes as an additional layer of security. And for the advanced take, education is prevention. So important that your team's knowledge is current. And that means staying up to date with the latest types of AP fraud detection. But again, going to the extra mile involves technology. For payment approvals, that means automating the reconciliation process because AI algorithms can be trained to flag anomalies and alert you to suspicious activities in real time. And now, payment authorization, it's more than a tick the box exercise. It's the sharp end of cash flow management. And without standardized protocols of a centralized process, this stage can quickly become a time sink. Worse still, the complexities of cross border regulations mean you risk non compliant payments or becoming a target for cybercriminals. Here are your basics. First, it's time to sunset paper based checks. Please save the world, save the organization. We move to electronic payments like ACH not only accelerates your process, but adds layers of security that paper checks simply just cannot match. You should also set up a single payment gateway, if at all possible, to handle all types of payments and make sure that it's easier to keep track and authorize transactions. And here's your advanced advice: get a dashboard. You want a single pane of glass that offers real-time visibility across your approval workflow based on preset rules. You can allow manual overrides to maintain control and momentum in the AP workflow. Finally, with analytics, it's easy to optimize your payment timings to even out your cash flow and positively impact your bottom line. All right, so you might be thinking, now that the payment's been authorized, your work here is done, but not so fast. The AP workflow is never guaranteed to be 100% perfect, which is why transaction reviews exist. They're your last line of defense in your accounts payable workflow, ensuring that payments are accurate, authorized, and compliant. This stage can be done manually or through automated systems. I'm sure you saw that coming, but it's not without challenges all around accuracy, scalability, and auditability, particularly if you have high transaction volumes. Manually validating multiple transactions can be a Herculean task, which is that consumes a lot of time and resources. Add that with the need for airtight audit trails, and you'll see why it's tempting for businesses to skip this vital stage. So make sure that someone on your team has exclusive responsibility for reviews. This clarity of purpose is key. Otherwise, reviews can easily be overlooked. There are basic automation tools that can monitor transactions and flag inconsistencies, but whatever approach you choose, a checklist that covers compliance, approvals, and payment amounts will ensure that every transaction passes an essential mini audit before it goes through. And now, time for advanced advice. Invest in technologies with real-time monitoring and intelligent anomaly detection. These capabilities can learn your typical transaction patterns and flag outliers, making the review process more accurate and more efficient. They also provide comprehensive audit trails, which simplify the audit process and enhance accountability. By emphasizing the value of transaction reviews, you're adopting a mix of manual oversight and automated tools. You're not just fulfilling a function, you're turning it into a strategic asset because this approach allows you to identify and rectify problems quickly, making your AP process more resilient and responsive. Now, before I take some questions, I want to do a bit of a shameless plugging. So, we've talked a lot about what you need to effectively automate your AP process and embrace a healthy AP lifestyle. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that we are at Quadient AP. We can help because our software provides end-to-end automation, streamlining your entire accounts payable workflow. Let's look at some of our best features in our four modules. Our invoice process automation, where you have instant visibility into your incoming bills and monthly accruals. Easily search by vendor, GL code, and literally anything else that's on an invoice. Purchase order automation, so customized limits for better spending control and integrated purchase requisitions. Our expense management automation, where we have a robust and customizable approval channels for employee expenses and real-time receipt analytics, and all added here also credit card reconciliation. And payment automation, accurate one-to-one reconciliation from your accounting system to your bank account, also with instant batch payments. And last but not least, you can customize your approval channels for each one of these modules for all of your AP tasks and activities, reflecting the way that you need to do business. So we just talked about all the areas that you can automate within the accounts payable function with Quadient AP. And I trust they all sound pretty darn good to you, but I also bet that one excites you more than the others. So we're going to take this chance to please fill in this poll. And once again, which payables area do you need most to automate? Or which one are you most interested in learning more about which to automate? So you can go ahead and answer that poll on the screen right now. We'll just wait a second for those results. This is also a great time. We're almost at the question period. So if any of you have any questions coming to mind, now is a great time to either put them in the chat so we can address those. That'd be wonderful.
Yes, thanks, Cameron. And the poll is in the poll tab. So you've got your chat, your Q&A, and your poll. So I see some people voting there. We're going to leave it open just a bit longer. We've got two items in the lead right now, so I'm intrigued to see if we get anyone else in the other two categories, and then we'll share those on the screen in just a moment. Let's see, maybe like 10 seconds more or so. So I got a few of you out there still. Oh, and we've got someone in the chat. Okay. Okay, we're getting some other categories. I still see people voting, so just a few more seconds. Okay, let's throw this up on the stage and one for A also. So if this is showing not crazy for you like it is for me, we've got most people expense management and invoice management were our two leaders for the majority of the time. And then we had some people say payment management and purchase order management. So I think, invoice management and expense management are the clear leaders there, Cameron.
Perfect. Yeah. So those are probably the two most common ones as well. Invoice management is, of course, every accounts payable team, no matter how big or small, needs to manage this. And then, of course, expense management. So how do you get your employees to fill in those expense reports? I hope they're not giving you a stack of papers for the poor AP team to manage. So, yeah. I'm looking forward to giving you a quick peek at what that expense management can look like as well. Perfect. All right. So, final slide here before we jump into a quick little demonstration of the tool. So let's look at this quick case study that we have. So until 2019, DreamPack was running accounts payable exclusively on paper, and it had become an administrative nightmare for the beverage manufacturer. This resulted in several payments being received by vendors after due dates and oftentimes not being received at all, which is further complicated by a complete lack of traceability through regular US mail channels. We all know how great USPS is, right? Moreover, their manual approach to AP was creating a lot of extra work, including 300 plus invoices to process, plus endless expense receipts every single month. Physically mailing and signing checks, as well as siloed workflows. Before, the team was storing all documents inside files and cabinets, but as they transitioned towards a cloud-based accounting model, they curated approval channels within Quadient that guaranteed security and speed, something most finance teams struggled with during remote work. Plus, by moving to automated accounts payable for POs, invoices, payments, and expenses, TreamPack was able to receive invoices online, pay vendors through ACH, customize approvals for speed and security, scale up seamlessly with unlimited users, and eliminate all of their paper. So this is one example of someone that's been utilizing our system, and we'd love for you to be our next stream story here. And this is where we can jump into a live demonstration of our system. And we can go ahead and share that screen right now. Perfect. So one thing I want to note before we jump in the demo is that this is a website. So there's all kinds of different ERPs out there. Some are on-prem, some are on the cloud. Ours is on the cloud and can integrate with your financial system, regardless of where it's situated. And that also means that anyone on your team that needs to access this can do so from any place. On top of that, we have unlimited users. So that means that there's no limit on who can access this. But of course, not everyone needs to have the same level of access. So we can lay out restrictions. So yes, we can allow access to 50 users, but not all 50 users will have the same level. Some will only have access to certain modules, some to only certain tabs. If you have multiple legal entities, we can pull all of those into our system so they're all available within one spot. As we can also lay out restrictions based on this terminology, we call it org unit. And this is your organizational structure and is totally customizable across how you want to lay it out. So some people do it by departments, some people do it by location, totally up to you and your organization. Now, in terms of this workflow, I will spend most of our time today in invoices, but we do have our four modules on the left-hand side here, our invoices, our payments, our purchase orders, and our expenses. With our invoices, up here is the life cycle of an invoice. So it flows from left to right. And down here we have our workspace. So this is where invoices are sitting before they get pushed into your financial system. And yes, Courtney just mentioned in the chat, our solution can integrate with any financial system on the market, but we do have very special integrations with Acumatica and every single Sage that is available within North America. So very, very proud to have those integrations built out. Now, step one is, of course, getting invoices into the system. There's three ways. The most common way, which you'll likely be using, would be by email forwarding. So let's say you have ap@quadient.com as your AP inbox. Whenever that receives an invoice, we're going to create forwarding rules. So you don't need to change that email. It'll just automatically get sent into our system. And it'll appear here within the new tab. So that's all emailed invoices, boom, in the system. The ones that are coming by paper, there's always a couple that'll come in by paper. There's two ways to get them in. The first one is to do a good old-fashioned scan and drag and drop it in the system. And then the second is to use our app. So we have a mobile app. You can take a photo of the invoice using our app, and that'll upload it into our system as well, directly into the new tab. So now all invoices are in the system. Once it's in here, it's going to start to code that information that's on the invoice. Things like the vendor. So this vendor is actually a list being pulled straight from your financial system. Let's see, you have a new vendor, create it within your ERP. Once that happens, it'll get pulled over into our system, and that will appear here as well. It'll do the match of the vendor, so we'll find that. The invoice number will get coded automatically right here. The PO number is going to read that if there is that PO number on the invoice. The date, it's going to calculate a due date based on those payment terms. And it's going to grab all the information down here. So the numbers as well as the descriptions. And yes, so to answer your question, Jasmine, yes, we're also Beanworks. So we're Beanworks. We are Quadient AP Automation. We're Sage AP Automation. We got lots of names, but to answer your question, yes. Now, this is a good example of some machine learning that our system is going to use. We can see here that the standard gadget and branded hats, they both already have GL codes assigned here because we've received an invoice from Cavallo in the past with this description. So our system will remember that and assign that same GL code as last time, but corporate one, this is brand new. So we're going to click here. The same concept with the vendors. This is a GL list being pulled straight from your financial system. We can type in that number. And next time we receive corporate one from Cavallo, it'll automatically assign down to that same GL as well. So the more you use the system, the smarter and faster it gets. It really turns your AP team's job from receiving invoices by email, maybe printing, finding out those GL codes, typing them into the financial system. It turns all that into a simple click and review. If everything looks good, submit that off for approval. Now, before we jump into the approvals, I do want to touch base on purchase orders. So there is a PO number here. To simplify it, we're going to pull in your POs from your financial system. They'll be living within our tool where it can do that match for you automatically. So we'd be able to see a side-by-side comparison of the invoice with the purchase order and then pulling over the values from that PO as well. Now, if all that looks good, we'll be able to go ahead and submit it for approval, in which case it would land in someone's basket. They would open it up. If you see a copy of the invoice, the coding details that we saw before, and then they can approve or reject straight from our system or from our mobile app. So full approval functionality from our app. So let's say they're on vacation. They got two options. They can go and select the dates that they're gone so that any invoices going to them will no longer go to them. Let's say we're going to Disney World in LA. I think Disney World's in LA, right? So we can go ahead and select those dates that we're gone. And rather than approving while I'm away, it'll select a substitute approver for the duration of my absence. Or use the app and continue to approve these invoices while you're preferably not on a roller coaster, but maybe something a little bit more low key. Now, how does the system know who to send it to? We have some approval structures set up in the back end that we will, of course, guide you through. So select your legal entity, and we can create approval structures based on any criteria that's on that invoice. So things like a specific vendor or a specific dollar amount or a GL code. Now, This is where this example here, we can see this approval structure is based on any invoice above 10,000, any invoice matched to a PO, or from any one of these vendors. Now we can get pretty nitty gritty with these PO approval structures where we can create rules for variances, just how I was mentioning earlier. We can have it so the system will flag if the invoice is not matching that PO. If that happens, who is it going to go to? It can be routed straight to them rather than your team even needing to verify it to ensure that the values match. And who's it going to go to? Once again, unlimited users, right? So we can see this is a two-tiered approval process. Let's pull the CEO in there, modify the order, or even group them together. So we can see here, one of these two individuals can act as that initial approver, and then the CEO will have the final sign off. So this is a two-tiered approval process. And for those of you who maybe have some uh, emailed approvals or even paper approvals, sometimes it's hard to keep track of how many invoices are currently pending approval. We have some analytics within our system. So with one click, if you have the proper restrictions, you'll be able to see how many invoices are sitting with each user. So Sally Shore here has 10 invoices for more than 2 weeks. With one glance, you can see where these invoices are sitting as well as divvied up by dollar amount up here on top. Once that has been sent off for approval and approved, it's going to get pushed into the next tab, which is the export tab. And frankly, you don't need to do too much in this one. This is simply to see what is going to get pushed out in the next scheduled sync. Our systems will sync at any frequency that you choose. Standards every 4 hours, but if you want to make that more or less, totally up to you. And when it gets pushed over, it'll appear in your financial system as an unposted batch. And finally, the days of filing cabinets are gone. This means that we will now be using this online archive tab as your new digital filing cabinet. So let's say I was an auditor and I wanted to see all invoices that I'd received from a specific vendor over the past 3 years. Using our system, it turns into a one-click answer. We can now see all invoices we've received from ABC Furniture in this case, and we can create a report here by either a PDF or a CSV. And now once that's prepared, we're going to see a summary of all invoices within that filter summarized on an initial page, of course, totaling the dollar amount at the bottom right here. And then we can scroll through and find actual copies of the invoices. Or if we want to look at that summary page, we can look at the numbers, click that number, and we'll see a copy of the invoice, the coding information, the approval history with who approved it, the date, and any comments that were left there, any supplementary documentation that was attached at any point, and if it's matched to a purchase order, you'll be able to see that match there as well. And that's it for the invoices modules. So just for the purpose of time, I'm not going to jump into the other ones, but this is a great chance where if you have purchase orders or maybe your payments process is a little bit more cumbersome than you'd like, or you're simply curious to see what any of these other modules look like, it's a great chance for you to reach out over to SWK and they can set up a one-on-one demonstration where we can see what your current workflow looks like and then give you a more specialized demonstration to make sure we can tick all those boxes that you need. But of course, managing those POs, pulling them in, facilitating that two-way match or three-way match, expenses, so managing your employee reimbursements, creating expense reports, compiling them, submitting them, readying for approval, and of course, paying your employees out as well. Grouped into our expenses module, we also have our credit card reconciliation where we can upload a statement, assign that to a user, and that user can go and upload the copies of receipts, assign a specific category, which is linked to a GL code, and then go through the approvals as well. And of course, payments, which is self-explanatory, paying whenever it needs to get paid. So this is now where we can jump into the question period. Courtney, what questions do you have for me?
Sorry, took me a moment to get back on camera here. So we do have a few questions for you. So let me pop back over, just get us to the right spot. So, the first question I have for you, Cameron, is can you tell me a little bit about implementation for the solution?
Yeah, great question. So, implementation, it's generally pretty quick. Of course, it depends on your financial system. But my understanding is everyone here is either Acumatica or Sage. So, with all of those, it'll take between 2 to 3 weeks to get totally up and running. So that means that we have the initial integration meeting, which is just connecting the two systems. We have our configuration meeting, which is making sure everything is set up. So your users, user restrictions, your approval structures, and then our final meeting is training. Now, this can be split out into 1 or 2 meetings depending on which modules you go with because our solution is modular. So let's say you only need invoices, your training is not going to be as long as if you need all 4 modules there. So short answer, 2 to 3 weeks would be general implementation time.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Another question we had was how does the system determine which department an invoice will go to if the departments use the same vendor?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a couple ways. So it depends on how you have things set up. So some companies have different AP emails or different people that would be receiving typical invoices for a certain department. So we can create multiple forwarding rules. So like let's say head of marketing receives an invoice, we can have it so that would get auto forwarded into our system and it would automatically assign to that marketing department. Another way we can do it if everything's being grouped into one general AP inbox is that our system is literally reading the invoice. So if it says anywhere marketing on it, then it'll be able to see that and then assign it to the marketing department.
Great. That is awesome to know. I think we've got another one coming in here. If you have any questions, definitely get them in now. We already had a few, so we dove right in. We did have a question in here that said invoice automation. Is there a Sage product that manages that now? If that's your question, we'll reach out to you offline to cover that one. Cameron, I have a question for you. Do you have any AR type of automation solutions?
We do, yeah. So a little background on Quadient. We're actually 100-year-old printing company, but it's 2025, and and printing may not be the business that it was. So Quadient has actually bought several different automations. One of them being us, of course, our accounts payable automation. Another one being accounts receivable automation. So that can really help with credit collections all the way through to payments, vendor portals, so they can see, I guess all their invoices, all kinds of stuff like that. So yes, we do offer accounts receivable automation as well.
Great, that's great to know. And I'd like to let everyone know that we are currently launching a poll that will show up in just a moment, asking if you'd like to be contacted with more information about the solution. Sorry there, I'm getting some background noise from the street there. So, one moment.
And if any of you are lucky, you might get me. So if cost of the solution, I'll talk about that in 1 second there, Scarlett. Yes, so if you are interested in seeing some more information on any of the other modules, or going more in depth on that invoices module as well, reach out to SWK or answer this poll, and someone will reach out to you, or we can organize a one-on-one demonstration with an account executive. And I'm one of the account executives, so it might be with me. We have a great team over here, so we'll ask you lots of questions. Just make sure we're a good technical fit. How many invoices you're processing, how many legal entities to get a better understanding of what to show you. And Scarlett, cost of the solution, is it based on volume? That was another question that was just brought up. Yeah, so our solutions cost, it really varies depending on you. So it depends on how many invoices you're processing on a monthly basis, how many legal entities you have, which modules you want to be using. It is modular, right? So we're not going to charge you for everything if you don't need everything. So we this really caters towards our larger and our smaller clients, just because if you're not processing as much, it's not going to be as much. So it is based on a monthly subscription, which can be modified. Of course, for you seasonal companies, we understand that you're not always processing the same number of invoices any given month. That being said, there is, of course, a difference for each one. So Scarlett, best way to find out what the cost is going to be for you is to reach out to SWK and get on a call with one of us, and then we can give you a personalized quote for that. Any other questions to pop into the chat there?
Yes, Cameron, we do have a couple more questions here. So, we had someone ask, if a PO invoice is received with multiple POs on it, how does the system handle that? They said they have Sage 100 and they have to make multiple invoices in their current system, one for each PO.
Gotcha. So right now you'd be able to, I guess it depends on the invoice. So let's say it's a multi-lined invoice. You can assign individual lines to individual purchase orders because we're going to pull in all your POs from Sage. So line by line, you could assign which PO it goes to, or if it's all being grouped to one, of course, assign that to the one. Or if you have one line that needs to be divvied up, you can divvy up that line using our system. It'll do the math for you based on percentage or on individual amounts. And then each line can also be assigned to an individual purchase order, where within the PO module, you'll be able to see deductions from that total to how much has been drawn, and of course, the remaining amount as well. Great question. Oh, Courtney,
Oh,
you're muted.
got to take
Yeah, there you
myself off mute. There we go.
go.
Remote webinar one-on-one. So just looking through here. Here we go. I got a little pop-up blocking things. Okay. Another question we had was, we use Instadocs. Does the system work with that solution?
I'm not familiar with Instadocs, so I would need some more information on that.
Yes. So we can, if that was your question, we can definitely reach out to you after the session. Okay. I think I'm checking. I think we got a couple more out here. So we talked about the cost. I'm glad we were able to cover that one. Multi-department. So this one says, if we use your invoice automation program and process payments out of Sage, can the payment information be imported from Sage 100 to your invoice program so that the payment info can be stored when reviewing payment status on an invoice?
So this is a
It's a
great
long one,
question.
hopefully followed.
Yeah, so this is a great question, and there's kind of two parts to this. Um, it's kind of like a yes and a no. So, let's say because our tool is modular, you don't have to use this for payments. So this means you can process invoices through the invoices module, and then once it's pushed into Sage, continue processing your payments exactly as how you would now. One field we will be pulling in always, regardless of whether you use this for payments, is going to be that paid status. So to answer your question, if you're looking to review payment status on a certain invoice, that field will always get pulled straight from Sage, regardless of whether you use us for payments or not. So yes, you can run those reports. Now, if you're using us for your payments, you can kind of see the next level, right? We'll be able to see which bank it was pulled from, which the payment method, more details like that. Whereas we're not going to pull those in if you are doing those payments from Sage. So to answer your question, you'll get a more detailed view as to how those payments were sent out and how if you do payments through us. But regardless, you're always going to be able to pull reports on current invoices and their payment status. Another great question. I love this. These are great
Yes.
questions, guys.
Good questions today. I definitely agree. Okay, so that is the last question we have. I got one more and we'll leave it. If there's another question, go ahead and get that in now. Potentially, our last question is, what if you don't use POs?
Not a problem at all. So the exact same workflow applies. The only difference is there's no PO matching. So invoice will still get pulled in same way as a method mentioned. So by email or by taking a photo of it using the app or scanning it drag and dropping, it'll code the header information, line item details, assign those GLs based on history, route it for approval, race based on any criteria, and then push that into your financial system. Exact same workflow still applies.
Okay, that is great to know. I don't think that was a lot of great questions. gonna stall for just a moment or so. If you still have a question to get in, we can answer it live. But if not, I've seen some answers to that poll. We said if you want to be contacted immediately in 3 months, if you're still not sure yet, but definitely respond to that poll. We can get you a more personalized demonstration of the solution and really talk about things as they pertain to you, your business, your particular solution, and really have that more in-depth personal conversation. So just, no, nothing heavy. Just let us know. We'll reach out, we'll contact you, we'll let you in on the details, and have a bit more personal conversation and give you, dedicated time to ask any kind of questions you have. So with that, it looks like that was our last question from everyone. So we just want to say a quick thank you. As always, you can find us at swktech.com. You can always reach us at swktech.com, and we'll be happy to connect you with the team at Quadient, Cameron and his team, get you any answers you need. We will send out the recording tomorrow afternoon along with some additional resources. So feel free to reach out then. Let us know if you've changed your mind or you've thought about it more and you want to learn a little bit more about Quadient, their solution as it pertains to your particular ERP. So thank you all for taking some time out of your day. And thank you, Cameron, for a lot of valuable information in that quick demo and just your time today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, everyone. Feel free to add me on LinkedIn, Cameron Duncan. Be more than happy to have a quick little chat there as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.